to take care of our bodies. We need to maintain our body. What is the three main things required? Matter is not able to give us a firm support for spirituality, and that spiritual strength is gained specifically through the power of spiritual sound vibration. That is another fundamental teaching of the Vedas, that we can perceive higher things in three ways. The first is pratyaksha. I can see the sun and I can try to understand about the sun, that the sun is a ball of fire and the sun is emitting so much light. But the pratyaksha experience is very limited, because can you tell me the diameter of the sun just by looking at the sun? We can't. In fact, our eyes may cheat us. Children may feel that the sun is only a ball only like a ball, size of a ball. So our eyes are highly imperfect. Our direct perception of the truth is very imperfect. We can't even see our own eyelids, which are closest to our eyes. So many things which we cannot perceive and which may perceive wrongly due to simply basing ourselves on pratyaksha. And the second way of understanding the truth is anuman, trying to speculate. Oh, this may be like that, this may be like that, this may be like that. Maybe, no, this is not that, this is not that. Like Charles Darwin, he tried to speculate, oh, man may have come from monkey. Though he had no proof of that, but he said speculation is the basis of science. So, speculation is another way of knowing about the truth. But again, it is highly probable that it may not be the truth, because speculation also has some limit. So ultimately the Vedas say that the perfect source of knowledge, of any branch of knowledge, is to base our knowledge on spiritual sound vibration, which is known as Shabda Brahma. If we take the knowledge from Shabda Brahma, then we will never be wrong. Because the Shabda Brahma is not a sound vibration of this material world, it is descending from the spiritual world. It is descending from the spiritual realm, which is perfect. So, Shabda Brahma, by taking shelter of spiritual sound vibration, one can counteract all the infections of the self, and one can achieve success and steady inner growth to even succeed in our day-to-day lives. And the sound vibration, the spiritual sound vibration, the transcendental potency of the sound vibration is required for all-round progress, psychological progress, spiritual progress, emotional progress, bodily progress, fulfillment of our desires. Everything it comes by spiritual sound vibration. So that is what the Vedas, the timeless wisdom of India, is stating, that a meditation on the supremely pure, divine and spiritual sound of Nityananda, Gauranga and Hare Krishna mantras, it is the most powerful way to connect with the spiritual realm and to draw power, to draw energy, to draw inspiration from the higher realm by sound vibration. It not only ensures our spiritual development, but our emotional maturity and our spiritual success, fulfillment of all our activities in life. In the preliminary stage of mantra meditation, the practitioner experiences the clearing of consciousness. It is known as namabhas. Like the clouds, they cover the sun, so you don't get the full sunlight. Even though we are standing below the sun, the clouds are covering. So our consciousness is very clouded at this present moment of time, because material sound vibration is not able to penetrate and clear up our consciousness. So that is why the spiritual sound vibration, it immediately demolishes the clouds of our misconceptions, our lethargy, our laziness, our ignorance, and it awakens a higher dimension of consciousness in our heart, and peace of mind, relief from unwanted drives and habits. Now, in this world, so many people are trying to get relief from unwanted habits. Sometimes we just don't want to do it, but we are pushed to do it. So you can try to restrict yourself from these unwanted habits, but the mind keeps on going there. Raso varjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivardate. In the Gita, Krishna is saying that you may try to stop yourself, but unless you are getting some nourishment from the higher platform through spiritual sound vibration, one cannot actually give up the unwanted drives and habits. We have so much experience. One can immediately become in communion with God. One can immediately connect with God, and one can realize the spiritual existence of the self. Mantra in Sanskrit is a Sanskrit word, basically mantra. So mana trayate iti mantra. That one which frees our mind from all misgivings, from all unwanted things, by the sound, simply by the sound. That is the power in the mantra. Simply by the sound, the mind is released from the attachments which the mind feels. When it becomes very disturbed, agitated or restless, all these misgivings are freed simply by hearing the sound of the mantra. It is so easy. And the potency to liberate the mind from material conditioning. And the Maha Mantra means a mantra which has all the power of all other mantras. The Maha Mantra. It has the potency that by chanting the Maha Mantra, one gets the power of all other mantras. So, our entanglement in material suffering, it has begun from material sound. That is known as Tan Matra. In the Bhagavatam it is described how in the beginning of creation, Brahma heard these three words. Tapaha, tapaha, tapaha. Brahma just heard the three words, and it was spoken by Lord Garbhodakashayi, Vishnu. And when he heard these three words, he got all information how to create this universe. From sound, actually, spiritual output. Output in any field, it will not be consistent. We will need a lot of downtimes. There will be a lot of downtimes and there will be uptimes. And so many things will happen. So best is to always stay connected with the spiritual sound vibration in the form of the mantra. And that will help us to always take the material results with the right consciousness. How do we actually see God through sound? How do we remain in touch with the spiritual platform by doing our work or in our life? It's very easy. Sometimes people say, Swamiji, we can't see God when we chant the mantra. So how can God exist? But it's very easy to understand that we can hear the wind, but can we see the wind? We can't see the wind. We can hear the wind, but there is no possibility of seeing the wind. Similarly, the hearing experience also is a feeling experience. It is not simply a theoretical experience. Some people, they want to see and believe only. When they see only, they will believe. But in the Vedas, more stress is given on hearing, oral reception. When we hear spiritual sound, we can actually feel the presence, the spiritual presence of God, our soul, and we can feel spiritual strength. We can get that strength simply by vibrating the spiritual sound vibration. So, even Lord Krishna, he confirmed this in the Padma Purana. He tells Narada that I am not there in my supreme abode of Vaikuntha, nor I am there in the high hearts of the yogis who are meditating on me silently. But I am present, eternally manifested and present and appear where my holy mantras are being meditated on or chanted. When my spiritual sound vibration is there I am present. I am always present there. Because the spiritual sound vibration is the thing which can awaken our soul. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Kabu Noy Shravanadi Shuddha Chitta Kariye Udoy. That our eternal consciousness, which is fully blossomed like a blossoming lotus, it cannot be awakened by any material means. It can only be awakened by spiritual sound vibration in the form of the mantras. And the dormant activities, the soul. Not only we can awaken our potential by spiritual sound vibration, we can also get real peace through spiritual sound vibration. And presently we are slaves to any whimsical thoughts and desires and appetites the mind may generate. Anything we think of, we immediately want to do it. We don't even have that power to think whether it is right or wrong. Immediately we get a thought when we want to do it. This is a highly precarious position. So Bhagavad Gita tells us that we should learn to control our mind and not simply allow the mind to do whatever it wants. Give it some time, meditate on it and control the mind, because when we don't give in to the demands of the mind immediately, our mind keeps on getting stronger. Next time it will be easier to control. First time it will take a struggle to control the mind. Next time it will be a little more easier. Third time it will be even more easier. At the same time, the mind is attempting to enjoy by employing the senses. It is attempting to experience matter, and it is so full of unlimited ideas, and so it is perpetually restless. It doesn't even wait to fulfill one idea. It keeps on jumping like a monkey from one idea to another. So in doing that, the mind is vacillating like a pendulum from one place to another. Chapala, Sukhala, Lagire. In the Vedas it is said that the mind runs after something. I want to get this, and then after getting it, the mind understands that no, this is not what I wanted. It becomes frustrated. Then it just renounces that thing. So once it's trying to do both, then it is going to tyag. Then again it is coming to some other object, again bhog tyag. So it is vacillating like a pendulum. Some days we feel, okay, today I will chant spiritual sound vibration and then I will go to work so that I am always on top of everything. But the next day again the mind says, oh, why are you wasting time to chant the spiritual sound vibration mantra? There is no need, just go and work. Then third day again, say, no, I should improve. Fourth day again the mind tells us, no, don't do it. So our mind is constantly making us vacillate and is not stabilizing us in a particular situation. So for that again, to ground ourselves, we need a power which is superior to the mind, and that is spiritual sound vibration of these mantras of Nityananda, Gauranga and Hare Krishna. This mantra sound vibration will immediately pacify the mind, and then the mind can be engaged in wherever we want in the best way possible. And beyond this, the sound vibration of the mantras has many other miraculous effects. Is relief from all misgivings. The conscious soul, the I, is actually the owner and the observer of the body. Intellectually, this fact is easily understandable by spiritual realization. Bhagavad Gita is theory. Bhagavad Gita is explaining us about the real I. Krishna is telling to Arjuna, you are the real I, you are the soul. You are always existing. But how to realize this? Arjuna could realize because he was hearing the direct sound vibration from Krishna. Spiritual sound vibration. He could realize it directly. But how do we realize? We realize by mantra meditation. We realize the science of Bhagavad Gita through mantra meditation. That is why Lord Krishna says, Yajnanam Japayatyosmi. Of all yagyas in Kali Yuga, I am the yagya of mantra meditation. Because through this yagya, you can realize all the truths in the Bhagavad Gita, that we are constantly, identifying the material body We lose awareness of our real spiritual self. And then we fear death, old age, disease. We fear loss of beauty, intelligence, strength, and experience countless other temporary anxieties and false emotions. We develop a strong fear of so many things in life. That is because we are not accepting the spiritual sound vibration. So by mantra meditation, if you try it out for a few days, I can give you a guarantee that even in the early stages, you will realize that we are pure and changeless spirit souls, completely distinct from our body. Because the mantra meditation, pure spiritual consciousness, it will restore our original uncontaminated consciousness. Actually what happened is that like a drop of rainwater, it fell on the ground and it became muddy. Earlier it was pure. Similarly the soul, the consciousness of the soul was very pure when the soul manifested in the marginal energy of the Lord. But when the soul fell down and became embodied, entered into a body, immediately the consciousness became contaminated with bodily consciousness. And because of that we become so much, fallible to these emotions, to this fear. So to jealousy, to bigotry, to pride, to envy, to hatred, to greed, so many things are coming. So for that we have to clear up our consciousness, and that is only possible through spiritual sound vibration. The law of karma is also very, very stringent. As we sow, so shall we reap. What are we reaping now? We have sowed it in the past. And what we are sowing now, we are going to reap it in the future. So the law of karma is very stringent. And material activities can be compared to seeds. Initially they are performed or planted, and over a course of action they will gradually fructify. So what we are planting now is going to fructify later. So in this cycle of karma, one needs to break off from the cycle of karma, because there are so many reactions which we are yet to suffer and which are going to be very painful to us. So we want to break off from the cycle of karma. Again, that is possible by mantra, by sound vibration. It is like frying the seeds in a pan. Once you fry the seeds, what will happen? They will not sprout. Similarly, by spiritual mantra meditation, all our misconceptions, our jealousy, envy, anger, all our qualities will become fried. They will become rendered impotent by the power of the holy names of God. Because God is like the sun, and the name of God, the mantra, is also like the sun. It can immediately purify anything which is come in contact with. Even like a stool of the cow becomes manure by being in contact with the sun. So similarly, the sound vibration of the mantra, it also purifies us of all our previous karma. And it gives us freedom even from reincarnation. Reincarnation is the biggest problem which all of us have to face. We have to accept another body, because throughout our life we are changing bodies. So we are forced to accept another body. So how do we cut off this cycle of reincarnation so that we don't go through all the suffering? That is again possible through sound vibration. Liberation from the cycle known as samsara chakra, or the endless wheel of birth and death, is possible by freeing our consciousness, again by mantra meditation. Mantra meditations awakens our God consciousness and our desire to associate with God. So by this simple change, we will conquer. In fact, it is said that simply by meditating on the mantra for a few days, one can ensure at least that one will get a human body in the next life. And if he regularly practices mantra meditation, then one will be able to even conquer this cycle of birth and death. So, since we have discussed the basic issues in our previous discourses, I would like to go on to some advanced spiritual topics here. Here we see the three different kinds of transcendentalists who practice, who are want to spiritually develop in life. The first is known as the Jnani, the second is the Yogi, and the third is the devotee. Vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yad jnanam advayam Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan Iti Shabdate. These are three different realizations of the same power, same God. So, the Jnani, it realizes the impersonal aspect of God, the light which is coming from God's body. And the yogi realizes the localized form of God in the heart. You see, in the heart of the yogi, there is a localized Paramatma. The yogi will meditate on the heart and realize the localized form of God. The devotee, he is higher because the Jnani will realize only the Sat feature of the Lord. The yogi will realize Sat and Chit. Sat is eternity, Chit means knowledge. And the devotee will understand all the three features, Sat, Chit and Ananda. Because he directly goes to the Bhagavan feature of God, which is actually the source of the Paramatma and the Brahma Jyoti, the Brahma. So the devotee is directly targeting that. Again, through the authorized process of mantra meditation, one can directly become established in Sat, Chit and Ananda. Because God is full of Sat, Chit and Ananda, and the soul is also full of Sat, Chit and Ananda. So we can experience that same bliss. Now sometimes the question is raised that Swamiji, how do you say that we are changing bodies in this life? I don't see, this is my same body, I don't see any change. But in the Bhagavad Gita it is explained that our changing of our body is just like the slides in the film, reels. You know, there is no big change between two of them. If you see two of them, you will not notice such a big change. It's a slow, gradual change. Maybe if you see the first and the last, you may notice a big change. Similarly, our body is changing at every moment, but it is changing very gradually, very slowly. So we do not notice that actually we are getting a new body at every moment. So many cells are changing. So Lord Krishna is saying that why are you getting perturbed? Because your body is changing. Why are you getting perturbed about death? Because throughout the life the body is changing. So obviously the body will change at the time of death also. If you can't notice it, then you have to develop a more subtle form of knowledge. Here we see the two birds sitting on one tree. They are the Atma and the Paramatma, described in the Upanishad, Shvetashvara Upanishad. Atmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam anayor aniyan bahato mahiyan. That the soul is known as infinitesimal, and the Paramatma, the super soul, is also situated in our heart. So the soul is trying to enjoy without trying to receive the knowledge from the super soul. We are looking outwards and we are trying to become happy, to acquire knowledge, and sometimes we get bitter fruits, sometimes sour fruits. See, the bird is eating so many fruits, and sometimes the bird gets bitter, sour fruits, sometimes it may get sweet fruits. And the super soul is always waiting for the Atma to turn to him. The Paramatma is always waiting. Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena maam. That please turn to me, I will give you the buddhi yoga. How to realize me. So both of these birds are sitting on in our heart. We are the Atma and God is the Paramatma. And God is waiting for us. Why is God waiting for us? Because we are His children. We are His part and parcel. He wants us to come to Him more than we want to go to Him. He is waiting for us constantly to turn to Him. And in fact, He is so merciful that it is described in the Gita that He is even coming with us in the pig's body, in the peacock's body, in the tiger's body. He is coming as a Paramatma. Because we can turn to Him anytime. So He is waiting for the time. He is always accompanying us from body to body. He is always coming with us. So that when we turn to Him, immediately He can give us the right information. You know, the voice of our conscience. Have you heard your conscience anytime? Everyone must have heard. And that is actually the voice of the Paramatma, the super soul in our heart. But because we are so busy in eating the fruits, here and there, the voice is becoming smaller, lower and lower because we don't hear. So the Paramatma is still speaking. At every moment the Paramatma is trying to guide us to turn inwards, to try to understand. But we are very busy, but he is patiently waiting. So this is the basic understanding of the Bhagavad Gita, where the Lord says that Mayyeva Vihitam Hita. He says that Annat Bhavanti Bhutan, that whatever hard work we do as an offering, yajna, then through that rainfall is there, and through rainfall grains are produced. But Lord Krishna is saying that actually I am not directly, I am giving all the facilities in this human life through the agency of my ministers. There are the demigods, the devatas. They are providing us all the necessities of life. Indra is providing us rainfall. Varuna is providing us water. Surya is providing fire. In that way all the demigods are giving us so many necessities. But that is only through the order of God, Krishna. Unfortunately, the Vedic knowledge has become so mixed up nowadays that people don't want to understand, because we don't know that actually beyond all the ministers there is the Prime Minister who is controlling all the ministers. Lord Krishna is saying that if you go to the devatas, actually the power to give is coming from me, so I am giving through them. So one should go to the devatas with that knowledge. One should not think that the devatas are God, are the supreme. Then one will be offending God, because if he considers the servants as equal to the master, that is not right. Here we come to know about the ultimate goal of yoga and mantra meditation. We can actually enter into the spiritual realm at the time of death. Not only we can live our lives very successfully through mantra meditation, but at the time of death we can actually direct our soul where we want to go. We can choose any planet we want to go, but a transcendentalist will choose the highest planet, it is the spiritual sky. It is known as Goloka Vrindavan. It has 1000 lotus petals. It is always contracting and expanding. It is described in the Vedas. So the real transcendentalists, they choose, the soul comes to the Brahmarandra here, the top of the head, and the soul can actually go to the spiritual realm and participate in direct activities with God, where there is no birth, no old age, and no disease, and no death. And after going there, the soul never has to come down here. That is the promise of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Yad gatva ananivartante tad dhama paramam mama. That my abode is parama. Parama means nobody comes down again. Na nivartante. Never come down here again in this cycle of birth and death. And to inspire us to come to His divine abode, God Himself comes in so many various incarnations and performs divine activities to attract us to Him, so that we actually make up our mind to terminate our painful activities in this material world, and so that we can join Him in the life of eternal bliss. So He comes as Nrsimha, Varaha, Matsya, Kurma, Kalki, Buddha, Balarama, Rama, Parshurama, and Vamana. The Dasha-avatar. There are many avatars. It is described in the Vedas that there are as many incarnations as many there are waves in the ocean. You can't count the waves in the ocean. Similarly, a God comes in so many forms and He wants to attract us towards Himself. And He comes in His original form also 5000 years ago. He came in Vrindavan, in Mathura and Dwarka. He is the source of all the incarnations. And He instructs us the greatest knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita. Actually, Krishna instructed this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to Vivashma, the sun god, 120 million years ago. Proktavam aham avyayam ibam vivashvate yogam sakalena Nashta Parantapa. That I gave this knowledge to Surya Dev, to Vivashwan 120 million years ago, but unfortunately that parampara coming from Surya Dev has got lost due to the time, degradation of time. That is why Arjuna, I am giving you the same knowledge again. The same knowledge Krishna is speaking to Arjuna again after so much time. The knowledge is eternal. The knowledge comes down in parampara, disciplic succession of gurus. Krishna instructed the knowledge to Vivashwan, Vivashwan gave it to Manu, Manu gave it to Ishvaku. In that the Surya Deva dynasty came in the Bhagavad Gita, it is described. And there is another paramparas. Krishna gave the knowledge to Brahma. From Brahma gave it to Narada, Narada gave it to Vyasa, and Vyasa gave it to Madhva. And I personally belong to that parampara, Brahma parampara, where Krishna had originally given the knowledge to Brahma. There are other 4 bona fide paramparas in Kali Yuga where Krishna gave the knowledge to Lakshmi, and Lakshmi chose Ramanujacharya. Then another parampara is the Sanat Kumar Sampradaya. Krishna gave the knowledge to the 4 Sanat Kumars, and they chose Nimbarkacharya as their Acharya. And then there is the 4th parampara. Krishna gave the knowledge to Shiva, Rudra Sampradaya. That Shiva has chosen Vishnu Swami to give this. All these 4 branches, disciplic successions are existing in India now. They have their different branches and temples worldwide. That ensures that when we receive the knowledge of the disciplic succession, that ensures that we are receiving the same knowledge that Krishna has given to Vivashwan or Krishna has given to Brahma. There is no chain, because the chain of disciplic spiritual masters, they transmit the knowledge as they receive it from. They don't mix anything, they don't remove anything, they don't subtract or add, they just transfer that same knowledge. And this disciplic succession is so important that Krishna said that because it was broken, oh Arjuna, I am again speaking it to you because I want to restart this parampara, the disciplic succession. And as we have seen this slide before, that the soul gets the chance to understand the spiritual knowledge and to concentrate on the spiritual sound vibration in the human body. But if it misses out the human body, then it again has to start from the aquatic body, which is 9 lakh bodies. Then again there is tree bodies which are 10 lakhs. Then there are insect bodies which are 11 lakhs. Then there are bird bodies which have 20 lakh bodies. Then there is a human mammals bodies, 4-legged animals which are 30 lakhs. And then human beings, there are 4 lakhs apartments for the soul to transmigrate. Totally there are 84 lakh apartments, bodies for the soul, depending on the desires of the soul. So that is the knowledge which Krishna has given to Arjuna, and because of the knowledge, because hearing the spiritual sound vibration, Arjuna became enthusiastic to fight. So this knowledge is for all of us, this sound vibration. If we hear the sound vibration of the mantra daily, we will become enthusiastic to do our work. We will become more efficient, we will become more peaceful, calm, and we will be able to give more output. We will become a gentleman. That is we can see from the practical example of Arjuna in the Gita. We see here in this slide how 4 kinds of people go to God and 4 kinds of people they are averse to God. There are 4 kinds of people. Artho Artharthi Jigyasu Jnani Cha Bharatarshava. These are the 4 kinds of people which go to God, and 4 kinds of people which don't go to God. So those who are in distress, those who want wealth, those who are inquisitive, and those who want knowledge. These are the 4 kinds of people which go to God. And the other kinds of people which don't go to God are influenced by lust, anger and greed. Even in distress, one should go to God because actually He can relieve us from our distress. And the original spiritual realm of God is very beautiful. He is always playing the flute. And in fact, it is described in the Vedas that in his flute, he can call all the names of all the souls are there in his flute. He has 9 lakh cows, and he calls all the cows simply by playing the flute. He takes the name of all the cows and he calls them. They are grazing in all different parts of Vrindavan, but simply by playing the flute, he brings them, all of them, to one spot. Similarly, it is also described that the Gayatri mantra is actually come from the sound of Krishna's flute. Venum vanantam aravinda dalaya taksham varahavatam samasitam buddha sundarangam Kandarpa koti kamaniya vishesha shobham govindamadi purusham pramaham bhajavi. That original sound vibration is actually the flute of Krishna, from which Brahma, he heard the flute, and then from his mouth came the Gayatri mantra. Gayatri has emanated from Brahma's mouth by hearing the original sound vibration from Krishna's flute. And here we see the 5 horses of our 5 Gyanendriyas. The ear, the tongue, the nose, the skin, and the mouth. In that way, our 5 Gyanendriyas, they are actually directing our whole body, our whole chariot. And the reins, what are the reins? The reins are the mind, and the driver is the intelligence, and the passenger is the soul. The soul is horrified in this photo because the reins are in the control of the horses, not the driver. So the whole chariot is actually becoming wild, because presently the driver is not taking the knowledge from the soul. The driver is in the control of the horses. So what we have to do is we should learn to hear the voice of the soul, or the voice of the super soul in our heart. And that will only come when we hear the mantra, when we hear the sound vibration. Then the material sound vibration will diminish, and then we can actually hear the guidance of our soul. The soul is telling us, go here, go there, do this, do that. The soul is directing, but the driver cannot hear, because our heart is so full with other kinds of vibrations. So much material vibrations. Nowadays when people get up, they read newspapers for at least 1 or 2 hours. So it's so much full with mundane sound. It's very difficult to hear the spiritual sound coming from the soul. And sometimes even people lose their patience in trying to achieve success through spiritual sound vibration. But a very nice example is given in the Bhagavad Gita of the sparrow and Garuda. The sparrow, by mistake, the sparrow had kept the eggs near the sea beach, and the sea came and took all her eggs into the water, and they drowned. So when the sparrow came back, she said, I will dry the ocean. And she tried to take a drop of water. She's trying to empty the ocean. Drop by drop by drop, she's trying to empty the ocean. But seeing her effort, she could not do it on her own, but seeing her effort, Garuda has come. The great gigantic carrier of Lord Vishnu. Garuda said, I will help you. And Garuda threatened the ocean, if you don't give back her eggs, then I will dry you up. And Garuda's power is much more than the sparrow, actually it's very powerful. So hearing Garuda's words, immediately the ocean gave back the eggs to the sparrow. Similarly, when we practice spiritual sound vibration, we need to take guidance from a spiritual teacher. Because a real spiritual teacher, he is actually speaking spiritual sound vibration. He is not speaking from the lips. It is coming from the soul. It is coming from the heart. So when we hear spiritual sound vibration from a spiritual teacher, then actually only we can vibrate it. First we have to hear, then only we can vibrate. So that spiritual sound vibration has to be heard from a powerful personality like Garuda, like a teacher who himself has realized the soul. or the spiritual sound vibration, then our path becomes very easy. In human society there are 4 ashramas and 4 varnas. Lord Krishna says in the Gita, Chatur Varanyam Maya Krishna Guna Karma Vibhaksham. I have created the 4 orders and the 4 ashramas in this human society. This is a Brahmana who is interested in giving knowledge to others. Then there is the Kshatriyas. They are interested in fighting for the country, for sustaining, for protecting the country. Then there are the Vaishyas who are businessmen. They are interested in bringing in wealth, economic development. And then the Shudra class, the laborers, they are working under the Vaishyas for better output. So these 4 classes are normally created by God automatically. Even if you go to America, you will see these 4 classes. You go to Europe, you will see these 4 classes. Because they are created by God Himself. There are some people who like to give knowledge to others. Like they want to go in the line of teachers, PhDs. They like to teach in colleges, universities, profess knowledge. Then there are Kshatriyas who like to fight. There are Vaishyas who like to do business. And there are laborers who like to work. So these are actually limbs of God's body. The Lord said that Brahmanas are my head, Kshatriyas are my hands, and Vaishyas are my stomach, and laborers, Shudras are my feet. So we cannot say that one person is more important than the other, because all are parts of the body of God. The leg is as important as the head and the stomach. So we have to realize that actually this demarcation is actually made by God Himself, and it is not man-made. Any action we do in life, each and every action, it has many witnesses. We can't do an action without the sanction of God. So first of all, we are the seer of our action, and then the super soul is the permitter of our action. The Lord says, Upadrashta, Anumanta, Cha, Bharta, Bhokta, Maheshwara. You have the right to do your action, but I have the right to permit it or not. God says, I am the Upadrashta, Anumanta, I am the seer, and I am the permitter of all your actions. Even if they are as per your karmic predestiny, it has been destined that you will perform this action, still the super soul has to permit it. There is a saying in English, not even a leaf will move without the sanction of God. So actually He is the Anumanta, He is the permitter of all our activities. Even though we may have the desire to do something, ultimately we need His sanction. These are the people in the 3 kinds of modes. All the people of this world can be classified in 3 types. Nobody is outside of these 3. There are people in the mode of ignorance who like to sleep a lot, who like to eat lots of harmful food like non-vegetarian meat, and they are in the mode of ignorance. They normally worship ghosts and black magic, etc. And the mode of passion is little better than them. They people believe in only passionate activity day and night, working hard, very much attached to the fruits of the actions. But there are people in the mode of goodness. They are the sattva guna. They worship the guna avatars, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Vishnu is in the mode of goodness. Shiva is in the mode of ignorance. He is managing the mode of ignorance, and Brahma is managing the mode of passion. Creation, because he created. For creating something you require passion. For destroying something you require anger or ignorance. And for maintaining something you require goodness, sattva guna. To maintain something. So Vishnu is actually maintaining us. So everyone falls into these 3. The people in the mode of goodness, they perform their actions but they offer it to God. They are not attached to their actions. Lord Krishna, he says in the Bhagavad Gita, Kama esha krodha esha rajoguna samudbhava mahashano mahapapa vidyena yamerina. Lust, anger and greed. These are the three enemies of the soul. Three eternal enemies of the soul. Jnanino nitya vairina. They are continuously enemies of the soul. Excessive greed and lust and anger. Because what happens is when there is excessive greed, there will become lust to possess something, and when the lust is not fulfilled, there will become anger. So these three things should be avoided. They are the gateways to hell. These three are not required to become successful in life. In fact, they will lead to our degradation. So, even among all the 6 vices, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada and Matsarya, these are the 6 vices. All can be calmed, all can be somehow used to the service of God. But envy is the lowest, Matsarya. Envy cannot be used, envy cannot be sublimated in the service of God. Because anyone who is envious of others and envious of God can never ever perform any spiritual activity nor become successful or satisfied in even material activity. So one has to give up envy first. One has to understand that actually everything belongs to God. And if somebody is getting good things, then that is due to because he has performed good activities in the past. Why I should be envious? I should be happy that he is making progress. If somebody is happening bad, okay, I understand that is also due to his past misdeeds. I should try to help that person. So we should not have any envy towards anyone in our heart. Even if somebody professes envy towards us, we should understand that that is only a manifestation of wrong desire. It is only on the bodily platform. There is no envy on the platform of the soul. There is no ignorance. There is no false prestige, pride. These are all external, subtle coverings of the soul. They can be overcome by mantra meditation. And whatever, let's conclude. Yes. Whatever activities we are performing, we are actually determining our consciousness in our next life. Simply, if we want to eat any kind of nonsense, if we want to live for eating, then we take the consciousness of a pig. Next life, we become a pig.
You continue. There's a wedding next door, so we have to time is will excuse us.
No problem. Please. Thank Vimla and Swati Ben so kindly. Oh, Amar.
It was excellent. We'll discuss it again tomorrow.
Yes. So we continue for another 1 hour. Is that okay with all of you? Okay. So maybe we continue for another 15-20 minutes, then we do question answer. So like I had described in my previous discourses, this is the whole creation of God, which comprises 3/4 of the spiritual creation and 1/4 of the material creation. And the material creation is also made up of innumerable universes, and the spiritual creation is also made up of innumerable spiritual planets, each having a presiding deity. Each planet is governed by one form of God, and those souls who have attraction for that form, they enter into that planet, spiritual planet, where they worship that presiding deity, where there is no birth, old age, disease and death. All spiritual planets are self-effulgent. They are self-effulgent, they are indestructible, and full of illumination, full of the presence of God. So at present we are in this one-fourth creation of God. We are in one of the universes, and we need to get out of this dead matter, this creation, which is like a prison in the overall creation of God, like a prison. The souls are put here when the souls want to try to enjoy separately from God. Then the souls are put here. But if the souls rectify themselves, then the souls can go back to the spiritual creation where there is no birth of old age, disease and death, eternal dance of Satchidan Ananda. And this world, our world, is like a perverted reflection of the spiritual creation. And the water on which the reflection is there, that water is the water of desire. See, desire. Based on our desire, we are actually come here in this material world, and we are trying for four things: dharma, artha, kama and moksha. Religiosity, economic development, sense gratification and liberation. These are the four things we are trying for in this creation. And ultimately, when we first try to perform some religious activity to acquire some money, earth, then when we acquire money, we try to use it to enjoy ourselves, kama. And then when we become frustrated with enjoyment, we feel that we are not becoming really happy through kama, then we try for moksha or liberation. But all of them are entanglements. We see dharma, artha, kama, moksha, all are entanglements. It is a huge entanglement, the creeper of this material world, where we sometimes become a demigod, sometimes we become an animal, sometimes we go up, down like a Ferris wheel. We are continuously rotating in this material world. So ultimately we have to make good use of our desire and become a good citizen of the kingdom of God. Again, as predicted in the Gita, Udvam Gachanti Sattvastha Mandir Tishtanti Rajasa Jaganya Guna Vrittistha. If we perform activities which are in the mode of ignorance, Papa, we take birth in the lower regions of this universe. If we have very passionate attitude, we take birth in the earthly planets, the middle planetary systems. And if we are in the mode of goodness, we have a lot of punya, we have piety, we take birth as demigods in the higher planetary systems. And this is the knowledge which Lord Krishna has instructed to Arjuna, and Arjuna has accepted it fully. And after accepting this knowledge, Arjuna is saying that Parabrahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram, Paramam Murana. Oh my dear Krishna, you cannot be an ordinary human being. You are actually the supreme absolute truth. Because nobody else can speak this kind of knowledge. It is perfect because you are perfect. So Krishna became very pleased on Arjuna, and Krishna showed his four-handed form of Vishnu, and he also showed his gigantic universal form to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, which was gigantic, huge, millions of heads and fire coming out and universes and mountains and rivers and everything coming out from the head, different mouths of the Lord. And even Arjuna became very afraid after seeing this universal form. He became very perturbed, distressed. He said, Lord, I don't have the capacity, please take away this form. I want to see your sweet form of Krishna, which is the origin of the universal form. Because I have a connection with you in this form. But in the Vishwarupa form, I have no connection with you. I am so afraid. This Vishwarupa form, this universal form is meant for those people who don't directly have faith in the personal form of God. Those who have faith in the impersonal form of God, for them, God has manifested this Vishwarupa. But those who have directly faith in the form, two-handed form of Krishna, they are actually higher, because that is a spiritual form. In fact, this Vishwarupa is an assembly of his material creation. So it is a kind of a material form. So he showed it to Arjuna to establish that I am not only two-handed, I am universe. himself. I am actually God, to prove himself to be God. And Arjuna understood that conception. Ahustam Rishaya Sarve Deva Rishi Nardastatha. My dear Krishna, you are God. I accept with full conviction. Because not only I have seen this form, universal form and 400 form, but actually all the great sages like Narada and Devala, Vyasa, everyone says that you are the source of everything. That is why I accept you fully. So this Gita Amrita is coming, is like the Vedas are like the cow, and the essence of the Vedas that is the Bhagavad Gita. It's like the milk coming from the cow. And who is the milkman? Krishna is the milkman. Dogda, Gopal, Nandana. And who is the person who is drinking it? Arjuna. He is drinking the Gita Amritam Mahat and he is becoming immortal. He is already an eternal associate of the Lord. So by understanding this knowledge of the Gita, one will become an eternal associate of the Lord. And to distribute this knowledge in Kali Yuga, Krishna has decided to come and where he displayed a six-handed form. This is a beautiful place in Jagannath Puri where I stay. It is known as Ganga Mata Math. It is near the beautiful lake of Shweta Ganga in Jagannath Puri, where the Lord displayed his six-handed form in Kali Yuga to his great devotee Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was the incarnation of Brihaspati, the guru of Indra. The Lord displayed his six-handed form. It was only 500 years back when the Lord came. He showed his two hands of Krishna in blue form, two hands, greenish hands of Rama holding the bow and the arrow, and two hands of the Kali Yuga incarnation of Gauranga holding the pot and the sannyas rod. In Kali Yuga, Krishna came as Gauranga 500 years ago and he accepted the sannyas order to reach out to those souls who did not come to him. He wanted to help them also, because as Krishna he did not reach out. He performed his Leela in Vrindavan and he left. But when he came as Gauranga, he wanted to reach out to everyone. So he came in his six-handed form, he displayed. And he delivered the greatest of sinners. Greatest of sinners were delivered. These two, what are the names? Jagai and Madhai. They were the greatest sinners in Bengal. Jagannath Chattopadhyay, Madhavanand Chattopadhyay. They were the biggest sinners. Every day they used to kill many people and loot people's houses and molest and murder. So many things they used to do, sinful activities. So the incarnation of Balaram, who is Nityananda, he decided to deliver them. So he went to them and said, please do mantra meditation, please chant the name of my God, then you will be delivered from all sins instantly. And one of them understood Jagai, but other Madai, he was very drunk. He could not understand this good instruction. He took a pot of liquor and he threw it on the head of Nityananda. Ferociously. Imagine God is trying to tell us, why don't you chant my name, and we try to hit God himself. It's a big sin. So he hit that pot on Nityananda's head, and immediately when Gauranga, who is Krishna, both are brothers, Krishna and Balaram, he came to know, he immediately rushed there with his chakra, Sudarshan chakra. He had promised not to take his weapons in this Kali Yuga incarnation. Because in Kali Yuga, if he took his weapon, he will have to kill everyone. Because everyone has some papa in our heart. In Satyuga, the Devata and the Asura used to stay on different planets. In Treta Yuga, they used to stay on the same planet. In Dwapar Yuga, they used to stay in the same home. And in Kali Yuga, they stay in the same person. So we have Papa as well as we have good and bad is there in our heart. So if God will take a Shastra, then God will have to kill us because there is Papa in our heart. So he decided not to take a Shastra, but because Jagat Madai has hit Nityananda, he took the chakra and he was going to behead them when Nityananda stopped him and said, my dear Lord, please don't forget your promise not to take the Shastra in Kali Yuga. Instead, why don't you remove their sinful mentality only? Why don't you clear off their papa? Instead of killing the papis. That is very more difficult actually. To kill papi is easy, just finish him off. But to remove the mentality is actually more difficult. So that is this incarnation, Nityananda, Gauranga, they came in Kali Yuga to clear up our mentality, make us pure and qualified. So when accepting the request of Nityananda, Gauranga delivered these two people and they became such great self-realized souls in Bengal that so many people all over the world used to come and meet Jagai and Madai. Earlier people were even afraid to step into the shadows. They would take into the shadows, they would take bath in the Ganga, people would take bath in the Ganga. But now they became such great souls that people would, just by having the darshan, people would think that we have taken bath in the Ganga. That is the mercy which this incarnation has given. This is the beautiful Ratha Yatra of Jagannath Puri, which is going to start on June 27th. I invite all of you, please, if you have time, please come to Jagannath Puri for the Ratha Yatra. It's the most beautiful festival, chariot festival of Lord Jagannath. And Nandi Ghosh is the name of the chariot of Lord Jagannath. 24 wheels. In this Kali Yuga incarnation of Gauranga, he used to dance before Jagannath. Very beautiful, 500 years back on the main Grand Road. And he used to rise so high in the air that it was not possible for an ordinary mortal human being to actually dance like this, bliss. And this is how God came in Kali Yuga. One of the greatest devotees of God, his name was Advaita Acharya. His place is still there in Shantipur. We just visited our yatra. This place, the most beautiful place on the banks of the Ganga. And seeing the degraded condition of the people of this age, this great devotee Advaita Acharya, he took some tulsi leaves and some Ganga water and offered it to Lord Krishna, Lord Shaligram. And he loudly roared and he requested the Lord, my dear Lord, you have to come in Kali Yuga. And his roaring actually was so spiritual, strong, that it penetrated into the spiritual world. And Lord Krishna, he was sleeping on the ocean, milk ocean, and he decided to advent in Kali Yuga. And when Lord Krishna comes in this world, he accepts some souls, some devotees as his mother and father. Nobody is father and mother of God. Nobody can become father and mother of God because God is the father of everyone. Everything is coming from him. But he gives that role to some of his devotees so that he can relish that Vatsalya Rasa, that parenthood, that mood of, so very blissful. All of you, have children, they know how much happiness it is in reciprocating in Vatsalya Rasa. So Lord Krishna also wants to relish that. And he becomes dependent on his mother, even though he is supremely independent. Swarat, he is Swarat, but still he becomes subordinate to his devotees to relish that love of his devotees. So the love is higher than God actually, because the love can conquer God himself. And here we see how that single God, he is the absolute, he is the God. In all religions, there is only one God, whether it is Allah or Christ or Buddha or Jehovah or Krishna, the one supreme God. He has three energies, Ladini, Sandini and Samvit. Sat, Chit and Ananda. Sat energy comes from Sandini and Chit comes from Samvit and Ananda comes from his Ladini energy. So Samvit energy is Krishna himself. Sandhini energy is his brother Balaram. He maintains the whole creation, the spiritual and the material world, and the manifestations of Nityananda Balaram. And then is the Sladhini energy is Radha. Actually Radha and Krishna are one, but they separate themselves for enjoyment because the energy has to give enjoyment to the energetic. So they separate themselves into two to give enjoyment. But in Kali Yuga they again join in the form of Gauranga, they become one. Because now Krishna wants to understand that Ladini energy of his Radha. Krishna wants to understand. Krishna, he knows everything, but still he wants to understand his Ladini energy. So he again comes in the golden form of Gauranga in Kali Yuga. And the same activities, the pastimes he performed in Vrindavan, in Dwapar Yuga, he performs in Navadvip in Bengal, in Sankirtan. All his associates, they assume male forms and they come in Navadvip and they perform the Sankirtana pastimes. And this is one of his pastimes, Jagannath Puri, where is one of his greatest devotee, Haridas Thakur. He leaves his body and the Lord takes up his body and starts dancing because every pore of Haridas Thakur's body was vibrating the mantra. Every pore of his body was chanting Nityananda Gauranga, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. So God, he was willing to take the divine body on his hands. And even now there is a beautiful memorial, a samadhi, where the Lord has given samadhi to Haridas with his own hands. In fact, he put the first dust from his hand